Let's look at the sitting process itself. What we need to do is to be with what's happening right now. You don't have to believe me, you can experiment for yourself. When I am drifting away from the present, what I do is listen to the traffic. I make sure there's nothing I miss. Nothing. I just really listen. And that's just as good as a koan because it's what's happening this very moment. So as Zen students, you have a job to do, a very important job, to bring your life out of dreamland and into the real and immense reality that it is. The job is not easy. It takes courage. Only people who have tremendous guts can do this practice for more than a short time. But we don't do it just for ourselves. Perhaps we do it first, that's fine. But as our life gets grounded, gets real, gets basic, other people immediately sense it, and what we are begins to influence everything around us. We are actually the whole universe. But until you see that clearly, you have to work with what your teacher tells you to work with, having some faith in the total process. It's not only faith, it's also something like science. Others before you have done the experiment and they've had some results from that. About all you can do is say, well, at least I can try the experiment. I can do it. I can work hard. That much any of us can do. The Buddha is nothing but exactly what you are right now. Hearing the cars, feeling the pain in your legs, hearing my voice, that's the Buddha. You can't catch hold of it. The minute you try to catch it, it's changed. Being what we are at each moment means, for example, fully being our anger when we are angry. That kind of anger never hurts anybody because it's total, complete. We really feel this anger, this knot in our stomach, and we're not going to hurt anybody with it. The kind of anger that hurts people is when we smile sweetly and underneath we're seething. When you sit, don't expect to be noble. When we give up this spinning mind, even for a few minutes, and just sit with what is, then this presence that we are is like a mirror. We see everything. We see what we are, our efforts to look good, to be first, or to be last. We see our anger, our anxiety, our pomposity, our so-called spirituality. Real spirituality is just being with all that. If we can really be with Buddha, who we are, then it transforms. Shibayama Rashi said once in session, this Buddha that you all want to see, this Buddha is very shy. It's hard to get him to come out and show himself. Why is that? Because the Buddha is ourselves, and we'll never see the Buddha until we're no longer attached to all this extra stuff. We've got to be willing to go into ourselves honestly. When we can be totally honest with what's happening right now, then we'll see it. We can't have just a piece of the Buddha. Buddhas come whole. Our practice has nothing to do with, oh, I should be good, I should be nice, I should be this or that. I am who I am right now. And that very state of being is the Buddha. I once said something in the Zendo that upset a lot of people. I said, to do this practice, we have to give up hope. Not many were happy about that. But what did I mean? I mean that we have to give up this idea in our heads that somehow, if we could only figure it out, there's some way to have this perfect life that is just right for us. Life is the way it is. And only when we begin to give up those maneuvers does life begin to be more satisfactory. When I say to give up hope, I don't mean to give up effort. As Zen students, we have to work unbelievably hard. But when I say hard, I don't mean straining and effort. It isn't that. What is hard is this choice that we repeatedly have to make. And if you practice hard, come to a lot of sessions, work hard with a teacher, if you're willing to make that choice consistently over a period of time, then one day you'll get your first little glimpse. This first little glimpse of what this very moment is. And it might take 1 year, 2 years, or 10 years. Now that's the beginning. That one little glimpse takes 1/10 of a second. But just that isn't enough. The enlightened life is seeing that all the time. It takes years and years and years of work to transform ourselves to the point where we can do that. I don't mean to sound discouraging. You might feel you probably don't have enough years left to do it. But that's not the point. At every point in our practice, it's perfect. And as we practice, life steadily becomes more fulfilling, more satisfactory, better for us, better for other people. But it's a long, long continuum. People have some silly idea that they're going to be enlightened in 2 weeks. Already we are the Buddha. There's just no doubt about that. How could we be anything else? We're all right here now. Where else could we be? But the point is to realize clearly what that means, this total oneness, this harmony, and to be able to express that in our lives. That's what takes endless work and training. It takes guts. It's not easy. It takes a real devotion to ourselves and to other people. Now, of course, as we practice, all these things grow, even the guts. We have to sit with pain, and we hate it. I don't like it either. But as we patiently just sit our way through that, something builds within us. Working with a good teacher, seeing what she or he is, we are slowly transformed in this practice. It's not by anything we think, not by something we figure out in our heads. We're transformed by what we do. And what is it that we do? We constantly make that choice. We give up our ego-centered dreams for this reality that we really are. We may not understand it at first, it may be confusing. When I first heard talks by teachers, I'd think, what are they talking about? But have enough faith to just do your practice, sit every day. Go through the confusion. Be very patient. And respect yourself for doing this practice. It's not easy. Anyone who sits through a Zen session is to be congratulated. I'm not trying to be hard on you. I think people who come to this practice are amazing people. But it's your job to take the quality you have and work with it. We're all just babies. The extent to which we can grow is boundless. And eventually, if we're patient enough and work hard enough, we have some possibility of making a real contribution to the world. In this oneness that we finally learn to live in, that's where the love is, not some kind of a soupy version, but a love with real strength. We want it for our lives, and we want it for other people's lives. We want it for our children, our parents, our friends. So it's up to us to do the work. So that's the process. Whether we choose to do it is up to us. The process may not be clear to many of you. It takes years before it becomes clear, so that you really know what you're doing. Just do the best you can. Stay with your sitting. Come to session, come to sit, and let's all do our best. It's really important. This total transformation of the quality of human life is the most important thing we can do.